In the previous season of Main Game, we talk at length about how fighting games came to be, from Karate Champ to Street Fighter 6. The genre has gone through quite an evolution, but it wasn't just relegated to the 2D plane. Somewhere during the 90s, a good number of game developers had the bright idea of using the 3D space to make movement a bigger priority. The kind that changes the game. The kind that introduces new features and mechanics. The Z-axis brought a lot to the table, believe it or not. And it all began with a developer we talked about quite a bit. Sega! The first instance of 3D in fighting games isn't with Virtua Fighter, but with a lesser-known title named Dark Edge. Dark Edge was an early attempt at 3D fighting on a big plane of battle. Another attempt at 3D was Holosseum. Both games were terrible, but it sparked a bunch of ideas in Sega's research and development circuit. Enter Virtua Fighter. With its groundbreaking 3D graphics, its unique 3-button system, and 8-way control stick where different moves come out based on timings and positions of your selected polygon pugilist. Created by Sega legend Yu Suzuki, it was an eye-catcher of an arcade title, though it was still relegated to the 2D plane. Turns out the true 3D movement in fighting games was established by Battle Arena Toshinden, which introduced the sidestep maneuver. This allows you to avoid horizontal moves coming at you, like projectiles or long-reaching zoning attacks. Sidestepping also allows new commands and extra moves to activate during its animation, adding new properties of attacks and strategy to help make true 3D combat meaty. Subsequently, counters to sidestepping also exist, though these end up more refined in later games and iterations. You can credit developer Tamsoft for that one little move that forever shaped 3D fighting games for years to come. Namco then brought in Tekken, which just ended up being the de facto 3D fighting game in the far, far future. The first few Tekken entries featured soon-to-be staple 3D-centric special moves, like the Electric Wind God Fist, sub-bosses for each of the selectable fighters to fight against, and fun juggling combo systems. Tekken had its work cut out for it during its debut. Most of the time, there were other flashier titles at that era to keep arcade-goers invested, like Namco's own Soul Edge and Soul Calibur, which were 3D fighting games but used weapons instead of fists. Bloody Roar was a 1997 3D fighting game title known for its shape-shifting gameplay and fast fighting. Its cast of characters can transform into powerful furry anthropomorphic animals like wolves, tigers, and bunny rabbits, with powerful kits for combat. It was big for a while, with Bloody Roar 2 being the most popular of the bunch. The Dead or Alive series from Tecmo were popular starting in 1996 due to its fast-paced combat, its counter-attack system, destructible environments, and other features that pushed its graphics to the next level. Square Enix, the company known for that Final Fantasy RPG series, threw its hat in the 3D fighting game ring with the realistic Bushido blade, where the fighting is weapons-based and the hits are deadly. The body damage system lets you amputate body parts or decapitate foes for quick kills. Even Street Fighter got in on the 3D graphics action. It didn't do well, but at least developer Arika made a bunch of cool characters that went beyond Street Fighter and into their own brand of 3D games with 3D movement. Famous newsmaker fighting game series Mortal Kombat also went 3D with Mortal Kombat 4 and the PlayStation 2/Xbox era MK games, with sidestepping and stance-changing gimmicks galore. They're also not that good, and were only remembered for their ludicrous characters and minigames. Over time, the 3D fighting game genre just ended up growing and growing, taking over 2D fighting games at one point. New gimmicks and features were introduced. Ex-developers from legacy franchises spun off to make their own version of a 3D fighting title, but failed. Some franchises just stuck to their big guns and still continued on, Most of them stay stagnant, while others, like Tekken, still trudged on. Though we won't be hearing the last of Sega's 3D fighting game brainchild. It would be sad if the company's last output was Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. As great as the Tekken games are, competition does help make the scene less stagnant and innovation to brew further. In any case, 3D fighting games are still popular despite the obvious monopoly at this current age. Let us not forget a time when this subsection of the fighting game genre was brimming with insane ideas and gimmicks.